County Board of Commissioners at 4:30. At 4:30, we had a work session to discuss resident voting districts. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Jarvis to lead us in an invocation and pledge of allegiance, but before she does that, it's been obvious to everyone that Commissioner Etheridge has not been to the last several meetings. He has had some health concerns. He is progressing, and we are in touch with him all of us on a fairly regular basis, and we are looking forward to his return in the near future. And everyone at home and in the audience, if you could add him and his family to your prayer list, they would much appreciate it, and we would as well. We miss his wisdom and historical knowledge that he has of the county, and he's a very integral part of the board, and we wish him Godspeed.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful day and for the ability to gather freely in this place. We ask you to descend upon us and lay your wisdom on us as we do the work of the people. We also ask that you be with those tonight as they gather here and travel them safely home. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. At this time, we will ask our attorney to read the Ethics Awareness and Conflicts of Interest Reminder.
Okay. Pursuant to GS 153A-44, a commissioner has a duty to vote on matters coming before the board, but may be excused from voting on issues involving the commissioner's own financial interest, official conduct, or on matters on which the commissioner is prohibited from voting under GS 14-234 or 160D-109. In accordance with Chapter 2, Division 3 of the Currituck County Code of Ordinances, it is the duty of every commissioner to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any commissioner have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the Board of Commissioners in this meeting? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to comment on, under legislative hearings on the first item regarding the rezoning. The landowners of that property, I have a niece that her father and family members own that property, so I just wanted to bring that up. So I do have a family member, a niece, that is part of that land.
Pursuant to 160D-109, a board member would have a conflict if there was a close familial relationship. However, the statute goes on to define familial relationship to include spouse, parent, child, brother, sister, grandparent, or grandchild. A niece is not listed in that.
So it's your opinion he does not have a conflict?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have two.
You have two conflicts?
Yeah, possibly. I probably got more than, no. Number 6, I was asked to be on that board. I was already on that board, and the state kind of changed, general statute kind of changed on that makeup of the board. So our DSS director asked if I would continue to serve on that board because they had a representative from law enforcement, a representative from fire and EMS, and then a citizen in the county. So I don't think I should vote on myself being on that board. Is that an issue?
I mean, the board can make a motion to recuse you from voting on that matter if they believe that it's a conflict.
Okay. I mean, I don't receive any compensation or anything for it. Like I said, it meets twice a year. I've been on it when it was quarterly. That one, and then the legislative hearing number 1, PB 25-09, not per se this year in 2025, but not to say that could change. I know in 2024, my company has bought a lot of material from Coastal Ready Mix, and as well as in 2023, the one in Moyock, their site in Moyock, I spent some money there.
Based on that, do you have a fixed opinion that's not subject to change tonight in making your vote on that rezoning based on,
I mean, if they had a plant in Coinjock, I would probably, all my stuff is in Mayock, so I would use it in Mayock if it was approved. So I would say no, but I mean, I just wanted it to be known that in 24 and 23, I probably was a couple dozen times, bought product from there multiple times. So not so much this year.
and it doesn't seem like you would benefit from,
If it was there, I
if
would
this were to
probably
pass
still use
tonight,
the
you would
Mayock.
benefit. Okay. I don't think there's a conflict, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I just wanted to disclose it.
I think on the board appointment, if that is a conflict, then we've all had a conflict because we all get appointed to boards and have voted. So I don't see that as a conflict, Madam Attorney.
I agree with you.
All right. So no one has a conflict tonight. So item 3 is approval of agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion for approval, a second. Any further comment? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment, we ask that you please limit your comments to matters other than those appearing on this agenda as a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. I have the sheet here, and I have no one signed up. Is there anyone that didn't sign up that wishes to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period, and we will move to administrative report. NC Forest Service Annual Report, Will Rose, our Currituck Ranger. If you come forward and state your name and address and what you do.
Howdy, my name is Will Rose. I'm the Currituck County Ranger for the North Carolina Forest Service. I live in Camden County right now, but 798 South Sandy Hook Road in Camden. And I'm here to give my annual report on what we accomplished last fiscal year. So what she's handing out now is just a copy of what I'm going to read from. But dear Currituck County Commissioners and County Manager Rebecca Gay, this letter highlights the NC Forest Service's accomplishments in Currituck County for this last fiscal year. Assistant County Ranger Chris Wilkins has been doing well in his position and working through his training progression and fighting fire throughout Currituck County and throughout the state. I finally graduated with my master's in GIS this May, so good little professional development for me. And we both enjoy serving the citizens of Currituck County. So starting off with the fire control this year, we had a pretty dry spring fire season. We had 62 total calls, 36 of which were reportable wildfires. They burned approximately 311 acres, but due to effective and efficient response, approximately $14 million in property value was protected and no homes were destroyed. This next thing was probably the biggest accomplishment for this year, but we had a large wildfire on March 20th of 2025. It was 276 acres of marsh grass behind the Currituck Club golf course. And due to the inaccessibility of the marsh grass, we had to use a helicopter. We had to use aviation to suppress it. We performed 32 helicopter drops for 6,720 gallons of water. And special thanks to our pilots and crew chiefs, and we had a Cessna pilot there guiding him in. So thanks to them, they flew out of Kenansville that day. And the volunteer and paid fire departments of the county continue to be an invaluable asset in wildland fire suppression assistance. The NC Forest Service strives to support these departments through grants and assistance programs, as well as providing training opportunities. We will always be available to acquire apparatus for the volunteer departments through our federal partners. Some other things we did was forest management. The North Carolina Forest Service offers an array of forest management services to the landowners in the county. This year we provided 7 verbal assists and 7 written plans for roughly 80 acres. Our forest management plans address timber resources, water quality, soils, and other qualities, and provide landowners with sound forest management recommendations that align with their objectives. With this information, landowners are empowered to meet their land use goals. We do water quality protection, specifically to logging jobs. We had 1 logging job in the county this year for 30 acres. We inspected it 3 times with no water quality violations. We also participated in 16 events, providing education and fire prevention, fire safety, forest stewardship, and information on our services our agency offers. This includes providing Smoky Bear programs, assisting with the FFA at the high school, and attending Currituck County Plains and Plows Day at the airport. We also are planning on attending it this October 11th. Excited for that. Through these programs, we engage many Currituck County citizens, including school children, private landowners, farmers, and grow up professional relationships with our partner agencies and local departments. And then finally, the Urban Assistance and Pest Control. The North Carolina Forest Service provides assistance and guidance regarding urban tree, insects, and disease concerns. Last year, our office provided expert assistance to 7 individuals in Currituck County. One thing that I do want to mention to you all, we actively monitor for insects and disease outbreaks through the aerial and ground surveys, but unfortunately, due to lack of federal funding, the NC Department of Agriculture postponed the 2025 spring treatment of Corover Beach until 2026 for spongy moth. The federal assistance was frozen at that time of treatment. So we will continue to monitor that specifically. Other treatment sites across the state were also postponed. Currituck County has been on spongy moth quarantine since 1989. All outgoing timber products must be inspected for spongy moth by the loggers, and we continue to maintain communication with cooperative agencies to continuously track forest pest movements. So in conclusion, through the support of the county, fire departments, and other cooperative agencies, the NC Forest Service has had another successful year in Currituck County. We will continue to deliver effective wildland fire control, offer expert forest management advice, protect water quality, provide information and education, and vigilantly monitor forest health for all citizens of Currituck County. And then I listed our office phone number and my personal cell phone there at the bottom.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes,
I may.
sir.
Will, last about 2 weeks ago, we had a real bad incident on the south end of the county. It was a water rescue where fire and EMS and law enforcement were tied up pretty good. And somebody, I guess, riding south or north threw a cigarette out and about caught some land crop in Currituck on fire with a couple citizens and myself and some fire extinguishers. And then that area, it's been so hot, it's been dry, even though we're getting those hard rains. Will was there within like 10 minutes and, put a bunch of water where it didn't, light back up and spread. They work really well with the fire departments, both paid and volunteer, as well as with law enforcement and everything. And just appreciate all they do.
Yeah, and I thank you for being out there too and helping stop that fire.
All right, any other questions, comments? We thank you for all that you do,
All right, thank you.
and be safe out there.
Thank you. You too.
All
Have a good
right.
one.
And we had DOT put some signs up to try to protect Smokey, because there's been a few bears hit out there along the stretch between Currituck and Grandy, so
Sure.
DOT did put some bear crossing signs up, so.
Great. Yeah, speaking of Smokey, we had a burn ban this last year, and I stood on the corner in the intersection where Frog Island's at with my burn ban sign as Smokey. That's right.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
But y'all have Chris and Smokey for the Plains and Plows?
We'll try and get him in there.
There you go.
All right, thank you very much. Next item is legislative hearing, PB 25-09 CRMP Inc., conditional rezoning. Request for conditional rezoning of 10.5 acres from agricultural district to conditional heavy industrial district for a batch concrete plat. The property address is 5235 Currituck Highway in Poplar Branch, south of Idlet Road. Tax map 83, parcel 5A, Poplar Branch Township. Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to the board. Hope you're all doing well. As you said, this is a request for conditional rezoning of 10.5 acres from the agricultural zoning district to conditional heavy industrial district for construction and operation of a batch concrete plant. And here you can see a vicinity map showing the larger parcel, and in the turquoise there is the parcel that's being subdivided and sold for the purposes of constructing the plant. And it's located immediately north of Muddy Motorsports and south of Islet Road. Here's the zoning map. You can see it's mostly agriculture. There is some general business near the highway. The Imagine Currituck 2040 vision plan has this as a G1 transect, which is generally slated for low density residential growth and some neighborhood serving commercial uses. And here's a more of a zoomed out image of the land use plan transects. You can see there's a large swath of G3 just to the north, some G1 where the parcel is located, and a lot of conservation area in the O2. Again, here you can see the larger parcel with the development area outlined. And here's a zoomed in version of that, so you can kind of see the actual layout of the operation. They're proposing type D dense buffers along the entire street and around the property to protect it from off-site views. They're also proposing an extended pavement area near the highway to reduce dust. And typically we get elevations, but here we have an actual image of a similar concrete plant so you can get an idea of what it might look like.
How tall is that for scale?
My understanding is that the tallest portions are 60 feet.
60, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
And to kind of demonstrate that a little further, we did create some images that would give you an idea of how this would look, or the height of it mainly from the highway. Those main power lines that you see in the bottom right image are 95 feet tall. That's the kind that are there in that field. And so you can kind of get an idea of that versus the overall height of the plant, as well as a typical telephone line. And so the current zoning is agricultural, which obviously is meant for agricultural uses. And it's important to note that it does prohibit uses that are not directly related to or that do not provide direct support for agricultural activities. And the requested zoning district being heavy industrial is of course an appropriate zoning district for what's being requested. But the development in that district is subject to development standards that seek to minimize nuisances and address the visual quality of development as seen from public streets. And here we have a comparison of what's currently, the types of uses that are currently allowed in the existing zoning district, the agricultural zoning district, and you would see uses agricultural, horticultural, animal husbandry, silviculture, schools, dwellings, minor utilities, telecommunications, and crab shedding. And then in this middle column, we have slightly more intense uses that would be allowed in the agricultural zoning district with a use permit. Things such as security training facilities, airports, solar energy facilities, telecommunication towers, kennels, major utilities, even extractive industry and mining, waste composting, etc. And then the requested district, conditional heavy industrial, would allow heavy manufacturing, and in this case, that would come in the form of a batch concrete plant. The Imagine Currituck 2040 vision plan, like I said before, shows this as a G1 transect. That is intended for agricultural lands and compatible low-density rural residential growth. It may be supported by limited small-scale neighborhood retail uses. Some appropriate land use and development types would include agriculture and agritourism, county facilities, low-density growth, residential growth, tourism-oriented commercial, ecotourism, and forestry. Now, I wouldn't normally stand up here and read all of the land use plan policies that are relevant, but given the nature of the conditional rezoning and what's being asked, I feel it's appropriate to at least acknowledge the scope and multitude of policies that are out there. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm just going to read through them if you'll bear with me. These are the Imagine Currituck land use goals. Goal 1, to encourage development to occur at densities appropriate for their location and consider factors including but not limited to environmentally suitable areas, suitable soils, adequate infrastructure, the type and capacity of sewage treatment available to the site, the adequacy of transportation facilities providing access to the site, and compatibility and proximity of the site to existing and planned county services. Policy 1.1, the future land use map is a guide for decision-making, planning for infrastructure and conservation, and should not be the sole basis for land use decisions. Policy 1.3, to consider community character and establish visions for the community. Policy 1.4, to protect the uniqueness of the county through preservation of farmland, wooded areas, open space, and water views from roads, walkways, and other public spaces. Goal 2, to carefully consider the design and location of intensive and potentially incompatible land uses to mitigate compatibility issues such as environmental quality, safety, overburdening local infrastructure, scale, use, design, location, and adverse effects. Policy 2.3, to encourage new industrial uses to locate in existing or planned industrial sites and locate on suitable land with unique locational advantages. Goal 3, to support new and existing commercial developments that adhere to quality community appearance and design standards, including landscaping improvements and signs tailored to achieve a unique community character. And we'll move on to economic development goals and policies. Goal 1, support the retention and expansion of existing businesses and promote the development of new businesses, especially those that help diversify the local economy and are compatible with the county's natural amenities and environment. Goal 5, attract compatible industrial operations and support existing industries. Policy 5.1, industrial development shall be located on land that is physically suitable and has unique locational advantages for industry. Transportation Goal 1, improve safety, traffic flow, access, and appearance of major highways and roads. Policy 1.1, to support the Mid-County Bridge to provide critical traffic relief, to improve emergency access to and evacuation from the Currituck Outer Banks, to promote economic development, and to provide better access to public and private services not readily available on the Outer Banks. Environmental policies and goals. Goal 2, to ensure the protection and preservation of prime agricultural lands to the extent possible. Policy 2.1, support measures to protect and promote forests and farmland as outlined in the adopted Currituck County Agricultural Development Plan. Policy 2.2, encourage farmers and timber operators to use best management practices to protect and improve water quality. And then we'll move on to area-specific policies and goals. The Lower Currituck General Policy 1.1, to foster growth and development while maintaining the distinctive natural environment and rural character of the community. Policy 1.2, new development and redevelopment should be properly planned so as not to adversely impact the character of the area and the peace and quiet traditionally enjoyed by its residents. Policy 1.4, recognize community desire for additional neighborhood level services, retail, and dining. And then there's Lower Currituck Action 1, establish key gateways at the following locations, which you'll see includes future Mid-Currituck Bridge landings. And Lower Currituck Action 14, to develop a civic master plan for the future Mid-Currituck Bridge landing. If y'all need to stop me at any point, please do so. Imagine Currituck sub-areas. So now we're moving on to the Islet Water Lily Churches Island sub-area. Policy 2.1, continue to encourage predominantly low-density residential development. The Mid-County Bridge area, policy 3.2, commercial development should locate near US 158. And policy 3.3, location and design of development in this area should not compromise traffic moving function of the new bridge. And then we have G1 Transect Policy 8.1. Conservation subdivisions are valued over other less compatible development types, and density bonuses should be considered for the conservation of additional open space. Policy 8.2, support the development of agricultural-based businesses, agritourism ventures, production of value-added agricultural products, and markets in Lower Currituck to establish the area as an agritourism destination. Also, the Imagine Currituck Community Vision Statement, economic development ventures support existing residents and create quality jobs in the community. New commercial and employment development diversifies the local economy while maintaining balance with the existing community character. The county fosters business opportunities by maintaining an excellent education system that prepares students for a prosperous future. And then we have guiding principles. Coordinated growth, strategically direct growth toward areas that are accessible to existing or planned transportation networks, water and wastewater infrastructure, and compatible with surrounding land uses. Produce and implement design-focused civic master plans for key growth areas that include an emphasis on natural resource protection. Destination points to establish and enhance key destinations throughout Currituck County, including natural and cultural centers, create walkable mixed-use neighborhoods, and develop destination quality recreation facilities and trails. Economic prosperity and resilience to cultivate a diverse economy that encourages the growth of traditional sectors while fostering new opportunities for nature-based recreation tourism and small business growth. Provide a range of housing types and land development densities appropriate for attracting quality, environmentally compatible businesses and industries that strengthen the county tax base. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the conditional rezoning review standards. And that brings us to the TRC recommendation. Given the inconsistencies with the Imagine Currituck 2040 vision plan, including the future land use map, the county's adopted official zoning map, and the fact that master planning for the Mid-Currituck Bridge area has not been completed with community engagement as recommended in the land use plan, the Technical Review Committee is not able to recommend approval of the request. A conditional zoning is a legislative decision of the Board of Commissioners. Special consideration should be given to the Imagine Currituck 2040 vision plan goals and policies when creating new industrial zoning and heavy manufacturing uses in the county, and especially along the Currituck Highway corridor. The proposed use will be visible from Currituck Highway and is in an area where preservation of active farmland and low-density growth is encouraged. The potential for well-planned economic development and increased property values in and around the bridge landing area should be considered. And the land use plan emphasizes strategically planned development at the Mid-Currituck Bridge landings. I'd like to stop there for a minute and point out something that came up at the planning board meeting. And that is that it's important to remember that there's really not a land use transect that specifically calls itself out as being an appropriate transect for industrial, heavy industrial, or light industrial zoning or uses. And we've just gone through several land use policies that either are encouraging or maybe in conflict with the request. Having said that, the decision for a conditional rezoning for industrial uses it becomes more of a vision decision, and you have to consider things like, is it appropriate for the area where it's going? what is it gonna mean for future development in that area, and things of that nature.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How far is the plant from the proposed bridge landing? Roughly, I don't need an exact,
I'd say it's probably over a mile,
okay.
but I'm not positive.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
About 3/4 is.
Three quarters?
it's just under a mile, right at a mile,
Okay.
just under, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
So there's proposed screening. You said earlier that the height of the concrete plant would be 60 foot.
Yes.
Realistically, when the buffer is fully grown, how tall will it be?
It includes canopy trees, which are defined as 30 feet or more, and that would depend on the species they choose. As long as they're more than 30 feet, they count as a canopy tree.
So is it safe to say that no amount of screening is going to keep this from being visible from the highway?
It's safe to say you'll be able to see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
How tall is the tallest structure at the Money Motorsports? That's what, maybe 20, 30 feet tall for this, if that?
Like the press boxes and
Yeah,
stuff. I'm not
what,
really
maybe
sure.
20 feet or 30 feet probably?
Probably 20 to 25.
5 through, okay. All right.
Anyone else? Continue.
Okay. So that brings us to the planning board recommendation, and the planning board did recommend approval because the request is in conformance with the general purpose and intent of the Unified Development Ordinance, and is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine Currituck 24 Vision Plan, including Land Use Goal 1, to consider compatibility and proximity of the site to existing and planned county services. Land Use Policy 1.1, Planning for Infrastructure and Conservation, should not be the sole basis land use decisions. Land Use Goal 2, to consider the design and location of potentially incompatible land uses to mitigate compatibility uses such as scale, use, location, and other adverse effects. Land Use Policy 2.3, to encourage new industrial uses to locate on suitable land with unique locational advantages. Transportation Policy 1.1, to support the Mid-Currituck Bridge for critical traffic relief, access to and evacuation from the northern Outer Banks, and improved access to public and private services not readily available to the Outer Banks. And Mid-Currituck Bridge area Policies 3.2 and 3.3. Commercial development should locate near US 158 and should not compromise traffic moving functions of the new bridge through its location and design. And that the request was reasonable and in the public interest because it aligns with the Currituck, the community vision statement. And that brings us to the proposed conditions. These are conditions proposed by the applicant. Number 1, development of the property shall conform to the proposed conceptual development plan. The use shall, number 2, the use shall have secure access, including gates with access codes for authorized workers. The use shall include appropriate security measures, including surveillance cameras and lighting. The concrete apron shall be extended from Currituck Highway to the security gate, and the driveway shall be improved with washed aggregate or asphalt millings to reduce dust. And that is the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions from board? Yes.
So staff is saying it is not consistent with the land use plan? Imagine Currituck 2040?
Yes, we are saying that given all factors considered, that we cannot recommend approval.
But the planning board is saying the opposite?
The planning board did recommend approval, yes, ma'am.
What, say that, the first part again, say that again. So the staff said there was, what was the part that was the holdup? Say that for the planning staff.
You mean the TRC recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah. inconsistencies with Imagine Currituck 2040 vision plan, including the future land use map and the county's adopted official zoning map. And the fact that, and this is kind of a big one, the fact that the master planning for the Mid-Currituck Bridge area that is recommended by the land use plan to include community engagement has not occurred.
Jason, is the road that they'll be using different from the road of the Muddy Motorsports Park? Is it a different road, side by side?
Side by side, yes. Very close, but different.
So, I mean, when you say very close, are 20 feet between them, 10 feet between them?
I don't know if you can see that on the site plan or not. Or on the map. I could show you on the zoning map.
I couldn't make it out
I think
in
there's
the
a
map.
ditch, I think there's a ditch in between the two.
There's probably a farm ditch, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I
Okay.
can
Ditch,
get back there real quick.
or, yeah. There's a tree line, I think.
Because the sign,
that-
for the public meeting was like literally right beside.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
so the Muddy
Muddy
Motorsports, you can see on that property just to the south, where all the dirt is, you can see where they come in. And then that little arm that sticks out of the turquoise property is where their road's going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jason, you talk about the land use planning for the proposed Mid-County Bridge. I left the board in 2016, and that was the next thing that the county was going to do. And even before that, it was the next thing the county was going to do. I've been hearing about the county's planning for the land use of the proposed Mid-Currituck Bridge for, I've been gone 8 years, and I heard it for 8 years before I was gone. So it's been going on for 15 years or more that the county is going to do a land use map for the proposed Mid-Currituck Bridge. Do we have an actual time that we're going to do that? Or what, why hasn't that been done? I'm not blaming staff, the board
Yeah.
of commissioners are the ones that direct it, but
Correct, yeah. So as far as I know, we only had a drawing of the Corolla side that was just in and around the bridge, and we obviously don't have control of all that property. So what the land use plan actually calls for is a civic master plan, which we have never done here in Currituck before, and it might be something that would be more appropriate for a small area plan, if that's more familiar to you.
you're actually
But
not going to have control of this property.
I understand
It's
that, but small
privately
area plan
owned.
to guide the development that in the future.
To answer your question, though, I think it has more to do with the imminence of when is the bridge actually going to be built, and
Yeah.
the board continuing to prioritize other projects ahead of that area planning in the county.
Okay, I'm just curious. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like clarification on the Muddy Gravedigger conditional use zoning. Can you tell me what that entails? That is something where they can go there and they can have events. Is it unlimited events?
I believe they have a special use permit for that.
Okay.
Instead
4
of
events a year.
conditional zoning, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not zoned?
It's probably just agriculture still, I would imagine.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it was permitted as a privately owned outdoor recreation facility. Special use permit was issued. The property is zoned agriculture. That is non-conforming. So you couldn't come in today and get a similar permit on that property.
Is that, how long is that permit good for?
As far as I know, it
As long
was
as they operate
renewed.
it?
Perpetuity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know about perpetuity because there's some language about renewing after several years. But as
getting
far as I
pretty
know, it's
close.
still valid.
And they have, is this something like what we're seeing now at Morris, where they have a special use permit?
No, they don't have a special use permit at Morris Farm Market. They are doing special events. And they came in to amend the ordinance to allow additional special events on their property.
Is there a limit as to how many special events are held at Dennis Anderson's Park?
I'm not sure that there
His
is.
aren't special events, they're just covered under his use.
Conditional
Special
use.
use
I
permit.
see.
Yeah, it was Maisie
Yeah.
Wall, so
No, he has a number.
he does.
Yes.
4? There's 4 a year?
That's all he can do is 4.
That's at Muddy Motorsports.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, I wasn't aware of that.
I don't have all the details of
They
that
have 4 a year. They've
permit.
had 4 a year probably for the last.
Well,
Plus the
four,
carnival.
if that's what you're saying,
Yeah.
4 was the number. If he's actually getting counting those as special events, then that number's been raised to 10. But I wasn't aware that he
His
had
special
that.
use permit would control though, so if it's
Might be
limited in the
conditioned on
special
that.
use permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Not at this time.
I guess the applicant will present his case now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Chairman.
Could y'all
Members
please
of the board.
identify yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Casey Varnell, a lawyer in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina with Sharp, Graham, Baker, and Varnell, and I'm the attorney for the applicant, who's right here, Vice President of Commercial Ready Mix Products, Mr. Tim Newsom. And then we have Mr. Michael Strader here, who is the engineer on this project. So they're here to answer the technical details, items that lawyers have no clue about, but why these guys do what they do. I do, if it pleases the board, I do have, just to cover some bases, though this is not a quasi judicial matter and we don't have to have experts come and testify as to things such as effect on value. We did have a certified commercial appraiser look and assess potential impacts on values to surrounding properties. And I do have a report here from him. He's not here tonight. He's moving his daughter into college. However, I do have a report, and if it pleases the board, I would hand to the clerk so she could pass out to you guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
He needs to.
Virginia.
All right, we have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you going to hit the high points?
I have no problem doing that. As a matter of fact, I've had a few little notes here on that and what I see in the report, and it's somewhat twofold. There's 2 items that are addressed. One is the effect on value of properties which surround. And as far as value, it was difficult for the appraiser to locate similar scenarios where farmland or agricultural land was surrounded by this plant. However, he did compare it to the Moyock scenario and as far as how that impacted residential. Because a lot of the times, when you're getting into the impact on value of land, residential property is what our courts generally, or at least what most of the cases are about, because that's where people make their livelihood. I mean, you got real estate agents, you got people who are trying to build equity in their homes. But here, that, again, and Mike Mr. Strader can hit the high points, but I believe we're 6,000 some feet from the nearest even residence, I believe. And then from a residential development, perhaps even further. So, but what this does show is that even in a subdivision, which was located in proximity to another plant up in Moyock, there actually was a substantial increase in property value over time. Now, obviously, we're not saying that's because of the plant. What we're saying is the plant did not impact the value, certainly didn't degrade the value. And there is a lot of finite analysis within there that, fortunately, even though he's a really smart dude who does some things I don't do, I think any of us could read the report and understand where he is getting his data. Also, we're dealing with the impact on potential uses and agricultural uses, for example, surrounding farmland. And the report alludes to the fact that because of the way in which the parcel is shaped, it has a flag, for example, it's set off the road. It actually, the way, and Mr. Strader can touch on this, but the manner in which the site itself is designed, Dominion's power line easement, they have the ability to actually expand their current use or what they're currently making use of from a land standpoint. They can go, I believe, to 180 feet. Well, what the design here has done is it backs up this 10.5 acre parcel that is upon which we're seeking the conditional rezoning. It abuts that 180 feet. So it's designed in such a way as it is literally sitting on top of, or certainly immediately adjacent to, what already exists as a power line easement. And we believe that's important because it's not stuck out in the middle of the farmland, for example, where on all four sides you're dealing with a scenario where there used to be farming, and now, no. I mean, on all four sides we have farming. This is just a box in the middle of a bunch of farmland. That's not the case here. And as you guys already know, you've got the Muddy Motorsports part to the south. So really, and then there's wooded area, because this site essentially backs up to the wooded area. So really, as far as the location and proximity to the actual farmland, I don't know that it could have been designed in a way to reduce any impacts on the actual use any better. Now, my client, Mr. Newsom, can also address mechanisms that are going to be in place to ensure the elimination of dust, for example, and other environmental impacts, and how that infrastructure has advanced in the world of batch concrete making, and why those particular environmental items will have no impact on the farmland itself. So those are, I suppose, the high points of the particular report there. We did think it was important to get that out there because we can certainly appreciate and respect the fact that there are folks around there who own real estate, and they're potentially concerned about what may happen to that real estate as far as value or the ability to use it. And we believe the report confirms neither will occur. It won't affect the ability to make use of it from an agricultural standpoint, nor will it impact any of the surrounding properties. I would also just, again, stress that this is a conditional zoning. And I know you guys understand what that is, but for members of the public here who perhaps don't, given it's a conditional rezoning request, we're limited to this. In other words, this doesn't open up the door for other heavy industrial uses simply because this conditional rezoning gets approved. It's either the batch concrete plant or nothing. So I do want to point that out. This isn't opening up in the event of approval, it's not opening up a Pandora's box that allows any and all particular heavy industrial uses to come and be utilized on that 10.5 acre parcel. Also, and as Mr. Literal touched on, it's a nuanced situation because unlike a variance, for example, which I know you guys don't hear variances, that's what the Board of Adjustments does, but there are particular requirements and factors, elements, and every single one of them must be met. Here, as Mr. Literal said, what you're dealing with here and what you're actually doing is looking at it from a visionary standpoint. And you're not limited, for example, to one particular policy. It's not a scenario where this application must adhere to or comply with every single policy that's been brought up. The question is, does this make sense as far as the future growth and development of Currituck County when considering where this is located, what use is being made, and why that location is important? The Planning Board, as has been noted, did find that the application was in conformance with the general purpose and intent of the UDO. I'll go over just a few of the goals that they focused on. You guys obviously are not limited to those goals. You guys could disagree with that and find new goals that this complies with. You guys could agree entirely with the Planning Board and find other goals, because we do obviously believe that there are other particular policies and goals that are named that we actually conform to, or at least meet the spirit and intent of. But as far as the consistency with the goals and policies of the 2040 Currituck Vision Plan, land use goal number 1 was that development should occur at densities appropriate for their location and in areas that are environmentally suitable. Now, it's a paraphrase, but from that point, what we're talking about from a density standpoint is we've got a parent parcel that's 147 acres. The proposal for rezoning is 10.5 acres. That means 137 of those acres are going to remain agricultural, and they can be used for farmland. Now, again, we do have a portion that the Dominion easement is already sitting on, and we've got the Muddy Motor Park to the south. But from a density standpoint, this is a small development, actually, when you consider how large the actual parcel itself is. Again, my client's going to also discuss from an environmental standpoint, how concrete plants are now required to operate. Land Use Policy 1.1, now that is something that Mr. Littoral touched on as one of the bases for staff's inability to recommend approval. Now, which is that the future land use map and the vision plan, this is not entirely consistent with that. But I would also note, Planning Board pointed out Land Use Policy 1.1 is something we complied with. And what Land Use Policy 1.1 says is that the future land use map cannot be the sole basis. It's not court. This is not a Court of Appeals case. It's what your policy says. It can't be the sole basis for a decision, meaning denial or approval. And in the report itself, as I see the staff's report, it was the only affirmative inconsistency that this project presented, meaning there were mays and may nots. This was the only is not that I saw within the staff report. But again, that can't be the sole basis for a decision by you guys. And we also do believe that actually, given the scale of the industrial use we're proposing, arguably this is consistent with the objectives of the future land use map, because we're attempting to locate this industrial use on suitable land that has unique location advantages, which is exactly what the land use plan encourages from an industrial use standpoint. And the location advantage, there's no secret here, it's the proximity to the Mid-Currituck Bridge. Reason being is batch concrete, anybody who knows anything about that knows you have to have it located within certain parameters or within a certain proximity in order to produce and utilize quality concrete. The time in which it hits that mixing truck, a clock starts. And if you exceed that clock, especially with high temperatures, things of that nature, you're not going to be able to use the concrete. That's the entire reason our clients have chosen this location, is because it's a location that, and in speaking even with the state, this is a location that will allow for the production of quality batch concrete and allow for the construction, successful construction of the Mid-Currituck County Bridge. Right now, there is no such plant that exists that would allow for that type of quality and for such a successful product. I'll end just by saying, and then of course I'm going to let my more esteemed colleagues here speak to you, but from a visionary standpoint, the entire premise of this, as I just said, is to ensure that we have or Currituck County has the ability even to have the mid-Currituck County Bridge constructed. And in reading through the plans, in the land use plan, and in reading through all the policies associated with the mid-Currituck County Bridge, it seems fairly clear, and I'm not sure who could argue that it would be a very significant item of infrastructure and construction for this county from a growth and economic prosperity standpoint. So having given, can't build that thing without concrete, and given the what we believe to be minimal impacts as established by what the planning board found and what these folks can tell you in more expanded fashion if necessary, we believe we've presented something that, again, does meet the spirit and intent, at least of everything that the planning board found. And again, even more as economic development policy 1.1, I believe, could have been 5.1, I'm sorry, but it was a policy noted under economic development, which again was that encourage industrial uses in locations that are suitable and that have unique land characteristics. And in this particular case, it's the location to that concrete plant so one can actually be built. So I'm going to obviously be up here and stand for any questions. And if there are, as a matter of fact, if there are already certain questions,
Yes.
and I can tell you if I'm not the one that can answer, but we've got these
I think you are
guys.
because you wrote the opinion.
Oh, got it.
You, in your statement, mentioned how just because we rezone this doesn't mean that more around it aren't going to happen. I think that was the gist of it. And I read your opinion on spot zoning in the agenda packet, but a lot of people here may not have read that.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would just like you to sum up, if we're not going to be potentially doing that, why is this not spot zoning?
Absolutely. And just to make sure I did not misspeak, I can't speak as to whether or not other conditional rezonings around this particular location may occur. That's something that would have to come back in front of you guys. You guys would have to go through this same particular analysis. I mean, I would argue, I think the law is clear that you guys are the decision makers. There's no precedence set by this. One might say different, but it's not what I believe the law says. What I meant to say, however, is that this particular approval would not, for example, on this 10.5 acre parcel, allow my client to change his mind and say, you know what, no, I'm not going to build a concrete plant, actually. What I'm going to now do is I'm going to come in and put some huge towers and basins in, and we're going to now make some other product of industrial quality or industrial caliber. What I mean is if this gets approved, he is bound and stuck to build the concrete plant that you guys are seeing here in front of you. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what I meant in terms of not opening up Pandora's box with this particular approval. He can't come do some other industrial use if you guys were to approve. Now, spot zoning, however, so there's two particular issues at play as I see it. One, and as I noted in my opinion, and I certainly respect the fact that it's a long opinion and they haven't seen it, so I will hit the high points of that as well. The analysis is always, when in a spot zoning case, is it spot zoning, number one? And if so, is it illegal spot zoning? Some folks hear the word spot zoning and they automatically assume that, oh, well, it's illegal. Well, no, that's actually not the case. And what my opinion addressed is the fact that this two prongs, I guess, test that our courts have placed on us is A, is it spot zoning to begin with? Now, in that memo, it's my opinion that it's not spot zoning. And the reason is our courts have been very clear about the single ownership requirement in spot zoning cases. Mm-hmm. And that is simply because our Court of Appeals and even our Supreme Court has affirmed decisions where there's a definition of spot zoning that's been established by the court. That definition actually states the word single or phrase single ownership. There was a case that I found very interesting, which was that a father and son were the joint owners of a parcel of land. And the father was the only one who made the application. So by all appearances, it appeared that this guy was here as the single owner. And okay, well, it comes up, so the county felt like it was spot zoning. Well, it was later found out, because I'm not even sure it was discussed at the hearing, but it was public information. Property was actually owned by him and his son. Even that close of a familial relationship defeats the single ownership requirement that must be met in order for it to even be spot zoning. So for the parcel to be considered, or the rezoning to be considered spot zoning in the first place, the parcel itself must be owned by one person. Well, here, my client doesn't even own the property. I mean, we've got a scenario where we've got 7 or 8 different owners, which I've listed out within, which has come through 2 estates, as a matter of fact. So we've got heirs to 2 estates that currently own that property. So don't believe it's spot zoning in general as a result of that. However, for arguendo purposes, if the single ownership requirement is somehow met, then there are factors, and your UDO contains those factors. And of course, the case law helped establish those factors that are now contained and codified in your UDO. The factors being the size and physical attributes of the site. And when I'm saying factors, sorry, let me back up. Factors meaning to determine whether or not it is illegal spot zoning. So to get through the spot zoning and determination, is it illegal? The size and physical attributes of the site, as I've said, we've got a parcel that's 147.5 acres, and only 10.5 of those acres are even subject of this request. So from a size and density standpoint, we certainly don't feel as though that is something that should be or meets the scale required for illegal spot zoning. Benefits to the community are a scenario where you make a determination based on whether or not there are benefits provided to the community if the spot zoning were allowed. And here, as I've already stated, and I won't beat that dead horse, but we believe that what we're providing to the community is the ability to construct a very, very vital and important bridge that will also help this community grow and prosper. The other items would be changed conditions warranting such an amendment to defeat the illegal spot zoning. What I would say to that is that the change conditions are, well, there's a bridge, and the bridge is coming, and that was tied up in litigation for years and years and years, but now we're here. And that in our mind is a change in the condition that would warrant this particular amendment.
You've answered my questions. You don't have to go on.
All right, got it. The lawyers are long-winded. I'm sorry. I apologize. Well, I'll stop there. Any other questions that y'all think I can answer at least?
I do have one quick one.
Yes, sir.
So, you said I know the apparent parcel, the 10.5 or 10.5 acres would be zoned heavy industrial. Did you say the whole parcel itself? Are they purchasing the whole parcel, which is what, 120 or 100?
No, sir.
Just the 10.5?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And correct. I mean, that it would be anticipated there would be a purchase. I mean, obviously, nothing's done until it's done.
Yeah, I understand.
But I could convert, I guess, to a lease scenario even. But,
You had said something about the 100, I guess, I don't know, it was 100 and some acres or whatever.
147, yes, sir.
I didn't know if they were purchasing the whole. Okay.
And actually, I'm not, they may even be here and maybe can speak, I don't know, and I'm not gonna but it did come up at the planning board, in speaking with those owners, there is even, given they are retaining ownership to the remaining 137 acres, there is even interest, we are told that they would perhaps even entertain putting that in essentially a conservation agricultural easement scenario where basically there's a restriction placed on that entire parcel by the owner itself. Wouldn't be something that the county, that's just a private property right. They subject their own property to a conservation scenario where it can only be used in the future for agricultural. So suffice it to say, we are absolutely not purchasing any or retaining or even gaining any interest in the remaining parcel.
Thank you.
I have a question. In regards to what you presented from the appraiser,
Yes, ma'am.
at the beginning, he says the highest and best use of the parcels is for continued agriculture use. And then he says, unfortunately, the areas are not comparable either because the surroundings were more built out or more industrial. So, but then he goes on to say at the very end that he thinks it won't affect adjoining property values.
And-
I just question,
I
you know,
understood.
he's from Virginia.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know how familiar he is with their county.
Yes, ma'am. Mike actually asked that exact question when we got this report. That was what he wanted to know as well. And he asked this appraiser, why was that in there? Mike, do you feel comfortable speaking to that?
Yeah, I wish I could pull up the response email to that, but I had the exact same.
You're familiar
question.
with their area.
And basically, he explained to us that there were certain confines that he was bound to, certain rules and ethics and whatnot, and that's where it ended up going back to the whole within proximity of residential use. But yeah, obviously we questioned whether the highest and best use was agricultural as well, but apparently, I guess it needed to be documented what the case was so that it could then be compared to other uses. It's part of the valuation, and I'm in no means an appraiser.
I've just not seen an appraisal report, like, you know, it's kind of unclear.
I have one question too and like I said, I'm not trying to hammer the guy because he's not here. And on his employment history, it says February 2002 to March 2013. I'm assuming he possibly owns part of the Val Bridge Property Advisors, where he's been out of the game 12 years. He doesn't have his current.
Are you on the CV?
Yeah.
Is that where you're at? No, my understanding is he's currently maintains his license and he's actively practicing.
With this, I guess with this I mean, like I said, he doesn't list it. So I mean, I was just curious. I was like, if he's given a professional.
No, I'm with you now. So it looks like here, through March of 13, it was Axial Advisory Group, LLC. So since 13, he has been the at least part owner of Val Bridge Property Advisors. So, but he absolutely does currently maintain a license.
All right, anyone else? Next.
Here, from owner or engineer next?
You?
Opinion, go
You
ahead.
guys' presentation.
All right, well, good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Michael Strader, and I'm an engineer with Withers Ravenel, and I'm the engineer of record for the conditional rezoning application submitted before you this evening. And we appreciate the very thorough staff report and, of course, the starts of our presentation. But basically, you heard from Mr. Littoral explaining how this application relates to the UDO, how it relates to the vision plan, land use goals and policies, and the zoning map amendment review standards. So let me just start out by saying that the applicant at the beginning of this whole process, lengthy process, I mean, so we've been doing this for in excess of a year, maybe a year and a half by now. But we started this process, the applicant started out by seeking out properties that were properly zoned. So obviously we're looking for heavy industrial zone properties where we wouldn't be going through all of these questions. And there are very few, as you know, and there is one area, but obviously, and that's at the Maple Industrial Park parcels. But after consideration, we were informed that that's a concrete plant is not the preferred, or that's not a conducive use within any of those heavy industrial zone parcels. Not to mention, I mean, it wasn't an ideal location anyway due to the distance. I mean, trucks would have had to have been, a whole lot of trucks would have had to have been going back through Coin Jock, so it's not an ideal situation anyway. Now, the recommendation from staff stated that it's not able to definitively recommend an approval of this request. And I think Mr. Varnell pretty much hit on this pretty thoroughly, but that's likely in part due to the fact that the master planning for the Mid-Currituck Bridge area hasn't been completed, which, I mean, that in itself creates those inconsistencies. And then when you're reading the recommendation in zoning map amendment review standard number 1, staff reports that the application is not consistent with the future land use map because heavy manufacturing is not the type of development typically associated within the G1 transect. However, so the G1 classification is for low density agricultural uses, but it also allows for low density residential and retail hubs. The G1 does not specifically disallow or oppose low density heavy manufacturing uses such as agricultural or a mud sports park. So while it might be a challenge to say that the use that's being proposed here is consistent with the future land use plan, I mean, personally, I don't think that it's appropriate to state that it's inconsistent with the future land use map based on that premise. Let's see, I'd also like to reiterate that for the record that in our original application package, the applicant also sought to amend the land use plan. So not only requesting the conditional rezone, but also to amend the land use plan and we had multiple pre-application conferences, we've had multiple meetings with staff, and that did come up. But after our first round of TRC review, the applicant was actually requested to remove any notation with respect to amending the land use map, stating that it's not necessary, it's not needed. So the fact that that was pulled from the application is pretty important in my opinion. In zoning map review standard number 5, the proposed concrete plant and the associated 10.5 acre parcel proposed to be conditionally rezoned to CHI is situated over 3,600 feet from the nearest residence, and I'm counting that diagonally at the one that's up at the intersection of Idlet Road, but it's almost 6,000 feet from the nearest residential district. It's surrounded by over 124 acres of the agricultural farmland of the residual tract. That's just of the residual tract. And then, of course, the outdoor mud sports park to the south, and then all the swamp to the east. After searching through many parcels of land, I mean, this seems to be the most suitable and compatible parcel of land that can still accommodate the high quality specifications required by NCDOT. And that's something that we haven't hit on, but I believe as part of your application package, you should have some documentation from the district office of NCDOT explaining why, the product that they expect and require and how you get to receive that. And also zoning map amendment review standard number 11, the owner of I believe Casey had hit on this, the owner of the residual parcel is actually considering entering the residual parcel into a preserve to protect that farming use. And that's important because that should alleviate any potential complaints from any other future users that may not already know. And then as far as policies, policy 2.3 encourages new industrial uses to locate on suitable land with unique locational advantages. Likewise, policy 5.3 states, quote, has unique locational advantages for industry, end quote. And then, I mean, there are multiple policies that seem to bolster a recommendation. Transportation policy 1.1, support the Mid-Currituck Bridge to provide critical traffic relief. And obviously the two Mid-Currituck Bridge area policies 3.2 and 3.3, I mean, those are a no-brainer. So I'll just kind of end my piece of the presentation by reiterating that the applicant has come forth. He's very honest, transparent, and he's been very willing to receive any, is there a better parcel? Is there a better location? And we've looked throughout the county, but obviously it needed to be within proper distance to the proposed Mid-Currituck County Bridge because we wouldn't be here if we weren't discussing a bridge. And we feel that we've found the most suitable, and we prepared the best application for the most appropriate location available. If you have any questions on
Anyone
that
have
piece of the road.
questions?
I do.
Yes, sir.
All right, you stated earlier, I was surprised to hear, you said that the Maple Park was considered and that it already has industrial zoning places there that would allow this. But somebody in the county said that they didn't want it there? Is that what I heard you say?
Well, so you're familiar with it because the board
Right.
has control
I didn't know, I
over,
know that, but it's got zoned heavy industrial.
and it's zone heavy industrial. So it could be an allowable use within that zone. Obviously, there's restrictive covenants that would have to be adhered to.
Right.
Personally, I don't know who at the county level, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't know who it came from, but it was not a conducive use. It was not entertainable.
Okay, so then my next question then, suppose it was entertainable. I guess would the distance, I know it's further, but could the distance be used at that location for the bridge?
I can let Tim speak on that,
Okay.
but we did the mileage, and I don't remember if it was 7 miles, but we also looked at the fact that it has to go through, vehicles would have to go through coin jock, and there's unknowns that could have been good concrete, and if it had been perfect conditions and had the right admixtures and the right temperature, I mean, temperature is probably the biggest thing, then maybe it could have gotten to the bridge and been usable, but it's probably, the likelihood is not good, and there would have been a lot of wasted concrete probably.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll wait till the applicant comes up.
I have
Okay.
some questions for the applicant too.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. The applicant would like to come forward?
Mr. Chairman, Board, good evening. I'm Tim Newsom with Commercial Ready Mix. I don't know what else I could say after Casey and Mike, so I'm here for questions.
I have a couple. Just out of curiosity, what are the hours of operations that are planned? And how many approximate trips per day would be coming from and to the plant itself?
The bridge contractor would dictate that.
The hours?
Yes, within reason, yes.
Okay,
We would work for the bridge contractor. So that contractor would dictate when he would want his pours.
okay,
He would dictate the size of the pours. The size of the pours would dictate how many trucks
okay,
would be in any given day.
all right. So both Mr. Varnell and Mr. Strider mentioned that it was too far for some of the locations. So what's the sweet spot? Is every project a mile away, or do you just not do a project if you can't get a plant as close as you're looking at here? Is it just not feasible if you're not a couple of miles away from the action?
I would say a couple of miles. Our closest current plant is in Moyock, which is about 18 miles from the project. But delivering, producing state concrete is all about time. And more importantly, it's about temperatures. So the hotter it is, the less the time is to have it from the time it's batched to the time it's placed in the form.
Well, just to piggyback off of that then, doesn't the state, if they're gonna build a bridge, won't they consider if there's any concrete plants close by? Isn't that a consideration of building a bridge with concrete? And if there's none close by, I mean, wouldn't you think the state would look at their resources close by? Because what would happen if there is no concrete plants close enough to do that? I mean, why is the bridge even moving forward then?
I think the state would take that in consideration, I would think.
I mean, because it's been planning for a long time and they know they need concrete. So they've obviously probably looked at what the surrounding concrete plants are to see what the vicinity is, I would think.
Are they going to build the bridge?
I mean, I'm just curious of that.
I mean, they've only been talking about the bridge for like 40 years,
That's
so it's
my
not
point.
too
That's
long
my
of a
point.
time.
Somebody just told them they needed
So,
concrete.
so Maple is 7 miles roughly, I think. I'm not sure if that was Mr.
think,
Strider. So it's 7 miles, so 7 miles in the summer is too far. Is that
No, not
kind of the
particularly, no.
contention?
We were told about that particular property in Maple, that our concrete plant was not conducive for that
Okay.
property.
But if it were, is it too far is my question.
No, 7 miles is not too far,
Okay.
no.
But we don't
But it's
know-
gonna put every truck going through Currituck, every mixer truck,
Okay.
But you gotta get aggregate in there.
correct.
But we don't
That's gotta-
know, we don't know who told you the Maple Park was not conducive? Was it staff, a commissioner?
A commissioner.
A commissioner.
That is probably no longer on the board.
Well, it wasn't me, so I know, or Mike.
Well, that's why when I heard that, it kind of made me, I never heard that, so.
Yeah, and we want that Maple Industrial Park to sell. We have properties in there for sale, so that's why we're all like,
Yeah, let me ask you another question. Did I read somewhere in here that this would not be done unless the bridge was contracted? That you wouldn't have a need for this plant unless the bridge was built?
Probably not. We would move forward and purchase the property upon approval tonight, hopefully. We would move forward to purchase the property. But it's anyone's guess at this point if the bridge is going to be built or not. And if so, when?
That brings up another good question. So hypothetically, let's say the bridge goes forward, hypothetically, let's say you have your plant there. When the bridge is done, what happens to the plant? Because obviously there's not enough business currently right now that nobody's ever entertained a plant in this area. Would that plant be torn down, be left up there? Or I mean, would you have enough business to sustain it,
Our intentions would be to leave it.
to take it down?
No, sir.
Oh,
To leave the plant.
Leave it running.
Leave the plan in
I
place.
misunderstood you, okay.
Yes, sir. Leave the plan in
Okay.
place.
and you would use it for other concrete needs?
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions? Do we, does the county have a prohibition from what can go into Maple Park? I'm just trying to figure this out myself.
In looking at the restrictive covenants, no, it's not an express use that's listed, but it does give the board discretion to consider any other use, basically.
Okay, and could I ask the county attorney's opinion on the spot zoning?
So Casey and I talked at length about that, and ultimately it's up to the board if you think that it's illegal spot zoning. I do think he was very thorough in his analysis and going through the factors. So ultimately it's up to you all. In my opinion, I thought he made a good case that it was not illegal.
Okay. Any other questions?
So earlier, we were talking about this. You need aggregate to put in the concrete. So all that's going to go through Currituck most likely.
It will.
So we're trading aggregate trucks for concrete trucks at that point, right? Also, I would like to point out, everybody keeps going back to this policy 2.3. Land use policy 2.3 states, encourage new industrial uses to locate in existing or planned industrial sites and located on suitable land with unique location advantages. It's not or, it says and, right? There's a difference in those words. Existing or planned and suitable land with unique location advantages. Take that what you will. Is this suitable, or is it existing or planned? Again, I think that there's been a ball drop somewhere in the overall area plan, be it a small area plan, be it a bridge plan, whatever it is. But I don't see this being an existing. I know it's not existing, but I don't know if it falls into the planned industrial sites.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Like you said, I mean, and obviously you're in business, you guys are in Moyoc and other areas. The bridge build out, probably what, 4 to 5 years maybe?
I would think so. I think that's safe to say.
So like you said, if this was rezoned and whatever, and obviously it would just be a simple, how you said y'all permanently would be there. If something happened and the business wasn't there to sustain it, I mean, it's just something y'all could possibly close down or whatever. But it would still carry with that zoning of the heavy industrial. Like I said, if y'all, I mean, that's not obviously y'all's intentions.
Nothing else could be built on it, though, it'd be it.
It would have to be a concrete ready mix.
Yeah, because this can, have to be a,
You just continue, yeah, and then if the
Yeah.
towers don't go down, it's still, yeah.
okay.
All right.
It's just what if, I mean, it's just like it's.
Anyone else? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm going to open the public hearing. We have 5 people signed up. Ask you to watch the lights in 3 minutes and state your name and address. And first one signed up is Thomas Wright.
Do we have a time limit on these? I didn't think we had a time limit.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Not
Okay.
That's just
No
on
time
That's
limit.
on public comment, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's on public comment.
It's up to you.
Yeah. Just go
Oh,
ahead,
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Wright.
okay. Okay.
I'm getting conflicting answers here, so
Oh, I
just
didn't
go
know.
ahead.
Okay.
I think you're right.
sorry.
You're right.
Name's Tom Wright, and I'm 5th generation. Resident, Currituck County. Started in Duck. I'm the goofy saying, but I'm the son of a son of a son of Currituckers that just love birds, love the marsh, love the sound, and they really love their farms. On the north side of this property, my grandfather and Dr. Wright's father worked hard. When they were trying to settle out, they came to my dad and tried to make an arrangement where he would get, this is on the north side of the property you're considering the rezoning. On the south side of that property, Jerry and I were able to purchase, and I made payments for like 25 years. We just all, love the sound and all the things around it, and they love their farms. And this rezoning is happening kind of centered in between that property. And I think just dismiss myself. I mean, maybe just consider I'm standing before you for every resident, current resident, every future resident who would be concerned about the proposal of the industrial rezoning. I'm here for families who chose Currituck for its natural beauty and some of its open space, where we can have it. I'm here for the wildlife, because they cannot speak. Maybe that sounds odd to somebody, but that's part of who I am. I'm here for the next generation, for our grandchildren, your grandchildren, who deserve to inherit a Currituck that's as vibrant and life-giving as the one that we've enjoyed. And we've been given a tremendous bounty here, and it's under a lot of pressure. And I'm just coming here tonight to tell you that, I'm for trying to preserve some areas that we can preserve. The proposed rezoning threatens this legacy that I'm insinuating that we have. Approving this industrial rezoning for the cement plant will irreversibly damage the waterfowl impoundment that no one's said anything about, right off to southeast corner, right on, down there on the line. We've had it there for many years. And we're not talking about like somebody's mallard ducks. We're talking about migratory waterfowl that come and we've all gone to that expense, basically Jerry, prepare area down there that's flooded. And in the winter, you see birds down in there. You know, we talked about this vision thing tonight. I mean, y'all referred to it, the applicants referred to it. I'm not sophisticated, but I don't feel like that the future in that vision that the county has, that people have spoke to, that it should be sacrificed in some sort of, I know this sounds controversial, it's not my point, but I just want to get it there, that we should sacrifice that, what we all know is a bounty that we've had over, you know, in like a political situation that we have here for short-term industrial or financial gain. And what I mean by that is, if the justification for the cement plant, you know, is about the bridge, yet we're not thinking about much further out in our view and a vision of what is it going to look like. And we're going to place this industrial zoning there in the center of that area, that to the south I paid on for 70 years, to the north my grandfather and Dr. Wright's father worked to pay on, and then go further out, Miss Quigley's here, the next ring out. I mean, we're changing all these people's perspective here. We'll go even further to the next ring out to Mr. Grandy. I mean, I went to see all these people myself personally, and they don't understand the county putting this type of industrial zoning down in this area that we all really enjoy. So, you know, I'm not the best speaker. I respectfully ask you all to take the long view, which is sort of a goofy way that I've described it, the long view. We must not just act just for ourselves, but we should be acting for the folks that will come behind us, like later. I mean, we're here now, but we're thinking about in the future, the people that will come behind us. We're thinking about making a decision that will affect them. And to each of you, I humbly ask you to vote with foresight and courage. Please reject this zoning and the long-term impacts it will have on Currituck outdoors. Please preserve Currituck's character. It's under attack, but preserve some of Currituck's character. Please think about trying to protect our environment. Honor our history. And it ain't nothing little. Who are we? We love the outdoors. We love our environment. And in the process of doing those three last things that I asked you, we're ensuring that our grandchildren, your grandchildren, they're going to inherit a county that they really still feel like calling their house or their home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask Mr. Grant a quick question?
Yes,
Tommy?
sir.
Right.
Just, excuse me, Mr. Wright. I was thinking of
Yeah.
Colin. I was thinking of Colin Grant there for a minute.
No,
Sorry.
it's okay.
So you talk about envisioning the future a little bit.
Yes.
If this gets turned down and we decide not to do it,
Yes.
and the bridge comes forward anyways and gets built, do you see a vision of like maybe hotels, businesses, residential homes in this area? Or is that kind of the vision you're seeing? Or are you seeing it staying farmland for, or do you have?
I see it gradually changing over time, but you have people right here with you,
Right,
right in here, remarkable people that own a lot of land,
correct.
and they have hearts for preservation.
Yeah,
And y'all are arbitrarily deciding, on a zoning issue that you'll put this industrial zone in. Yes, it's there in the markets, and I love them, but you're arbitrarily lighting off an area, and then, I mean, when you do have some people that want to think about long-term. We certainly don't want to do a situation with a bridge where you're doing a rezoning off of that for bridge construction. And you're altering a bigger impact much longer in the future from this rezoning for some concrete they need for the bridge. I mean, think about longer than that. And I think all these people know that will change. But when you have people here that want to set their land aside in conservation, they're not thinking about the financials of somebody gaining something here like tonight. This could happen. They're thinking about from their family in the past, they're willing to set this property aside and it'll stay in open space. There's people here like that now in this audience. And Mike knows that we've just led a history of trying to do preservation. And nobody knows any better than Mike right here that what we try to preserve. And I certainly, you know, the concrete people, if the bridge comes, the people got to set up somewhere. I get that, but I don't see permanently creating a zoning. I thought when the attorneys got up and stood, and he talked about this could be the only thing. I thought that I heard him clarify that a person still could come once this industrial zoning is placed out in this area. That somebody could come later. Maybe there's no one on the board then, but this zoning is established, and that means that somebody still could come and say, you know, you have that here adjacent. We need an asphalt plant, Barn Hill or someone, and it creates precedence for, and yet you have Currituck's under a tremendous amount of pressure. But you have some people here, really unusual people that want to conserve and preserve some areas. It doesn't mean that still areas down in this area won't be commercially, some of it be used out toward the road. When you got that unique chance with some people that still have that kind of heart, and you're still willing to put this, ignite this industrial zoning in this area, you know, I don't know. Y'all,
No,
I appreciate
thank
you
you.
listening to me.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Karen Pierce. Please, Ms. Pierce, give your name and address for the record.
I'm Karen Pierce at 5067 Currituck Highway, Coin John. Whew. Boy, what Tommy just said, I agree with every bit of it. And I'm not much of a spokesman. And let me start out with when I read about the meeting that was going to be in March, well, it was March 18th. Well, there was another meeting about the Mid-Currituck Bridge over at Duck. So instead of going to the one, I was at the library or the extension office that they had at first, I chose to go over there and I said, well, I can ask, was it Quibble? And, you know, get the information that I would need. Well, I called them, and meanwhile, Jimmy had said something to me, and I told Jimmy, I thought it was going to be like C&L concrete, you know, just something small, like we've seen a picture of. And I told Jimmy, I said, you know, I don't have a problem with that. I told Quibble when I talked with them. I didn't talk with them, I emailed them. And I told them the same thing. So I said, well, I would learn more about it. And I really haven't kept up with it. And I've seen Jimmy several times. And, you know, I didn't say anything because I wanted to know the facts. And so I figured I had to wait to this public hearing for the facts. And then I started reading the information. I didn't read it until the sign went up in front of the property. And I said, you know, I better start reading on it. And so when I saw it was under heavy manufacturing, I didn't envision that. I don't know, I don't keep up with the zoning laws, but I didn't envision that industrial, and they said, but that's what it has to be. And then I figured, well, it'll just stay there. But if you do that spot zoning, I don't care how many ways you say it, it is spot zoning, and it will always be there. And maybe like Tommy said maybe years from now, somebody will come up there and they'll say, well, well, you got that spot zoning that's right there. I want it. I want the same thing. And I just don't envision that. And so I talked with Tommy about, and I knew he had the impoundment back there, but the lights and the everything that goes with that, the noise, and he's got a beautiful impoundment, and he and Jerry have worked so hard for so long, and I'm just against it. And I read, I said I really didn't know the words to say to y'all, but I looked at the technical review committee. And I know you don't want to hear it again, but it said the purpose use will be visible from Currituck Highway is in an area where preservation of active farmland and low-density growth is encouraged, and the potential for well-planned economic development and increased property values in and around the bridge landing should be considered. The LUP, Land Use Plan, emphasizes strategically planned development in Mid-Currituck Bridge Landing. And believe me, nobody knows no more about the Mid-Currituck Bridge than me, I don't think, because I have lived it all those years, and I'm right at grind zero. So I realize things have got to be done, but not this way. And I've got a lot more written down, and I'm like Tommy, I love Currituck. And I realize that, when there is planning, and if a bridge comes, I pray it don't, but if it comes, I have to listen to it, and I want it to be planned like I think Currituck, the Currituck that I love, not a bunch of, something that's in character with our county that I love. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Jennifer Simons. Give us your.
You know me from being against the bridge, but
Give us your name and address again.
My name is Jennifer Simons, and I live at 110 Windy Hill Court in Idlet, North Carolina. What I've seen from this project, or the proposed, is that this is all predicated on the thought that the Mid-Currituck Bridge is going to be built. And as it stands today, July of 2025, there is zero money for this bridge. I mean zero allocated, and it's not looking good. And once again, that we've seen for the last 18 years I've been in Idlet, is that the construction of the project is going to be delayed, and it's going to get put off to the next year, and the next year, and the next year. And this has been 18 years of going on. So now it's gone from 2026 to 2027. But if you have no money, you can't build the bridge. And at a, 1.1 billion plus, with a 5 million per month increase in the bridge costs, it's just inconceivable that this thing is going to get built. It's a one lane in each direction, a 2-lane bridge. It's obsolete before you even build it at $1 billion. So that is the one issue, is that it really does evolve around this bridge being built. You don't even have the permits. The last permitting meeting was March 18th? Yeah, it was March 18th, I believe. That was 4.5 months ago. No permits. And that was for the 3 that were applied for, and then they would need the Coast Guard permit as well. But no permits have been issued, and there's issues holding that off, and it evolves around the northern beaches, and you're all aware of the water pumping down to the water table, so that septic fields are interfering with the well systems. So that's a big old issue, and you want to add more development up there. Totally understand it. I have a marketing degree. I don't agree with it, though. As a marketing person, I would say, yeah, sure, build the hell out of it. But no, you don't have the proper infrastructure up there. Are you going to get a septic system plan for this? I know the Army Corps or CAM, I can't remember, had issued a report back in the 80s, I believe, that stated that the area could not handle that kind of development. So that is obviously a concern. I don't think the bridge is going to be built, personally. I really don't. No money, no bridge. No permits, no bridge. I understand that you're looking at a P3 public-private partnership for the second time. The first one failed. We all know that. What do we pay, $10 million to end it? So we spent a whole bunch of money to end a pre-development agreement with ACS Infrastructure and Currituck Development Group. And so we've sat here and sat here. The project itself scored so low in the strategic prioritization that Governor McCrory had installed to get rid of politics out of the transportation decision-making. It scored so low that the state wouldn't fund it. Then it went down to the region. The region didn't find it important enough to put their money to this. Now it's fallen to the division. You're talking, what, 10 counties, 14 counties? I think 14 counties in this division. They're all going to lose out on all that money for this one project that will be primarily used for 13 weekends in a year. 80% of that toll revenue is going to be made during those 13 weekends. So do I think a public-private partnership is viable for that project? Not at all. No, I don't. My other issue is that it does go against the land use plans. You all know that. Fly ash is extremely toxic to the land, to the water systems. You're going to be right next to Maple Swamp, okay? And then you've got the burning and the duck impoundments. But you've got an agricultural field there, right? Food consumption. I don't know how many people want fly ash in their food. I understand that they're going to do vacuum systems and all that, but you can't contain all of that. Also, that the people had the intent of making that 124 plus acres of that being a conservation district. It's an intent. It's not written in stone. It needs to be written in stone if you okay this, okay? Because you're right. Tommy's right. Everybody's right. They can take that and go, oh well. So let's get that in writing at least. But I agree that this should be, if you're going to do it, put it in Maple Park. That's what the county wants there. So I respectfully request that you deny this permit application for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Markert, I see you stand up. I guess you want to speak at some point.
Just about the conservation easement.
Okay, I'm gonna put you down here. I got two more people, then we'll talk to you. Next, we have John Wright.
John Wright, 147 Newburn's Landing Road, Powell's Point. Thanks for letting me come speak to y'all tonight. I have a background with the tourism board, the planning board, and then also worked with the land use steering committee, and then worked on the vision plan. And I have lots of feelings about the way things should be, and they're personal and they're closely held. I want Currituck to stay unique the way I grew up with it, but also become a place that welcomes new folks in so that everybody can share what Currituck means to us. I went up in the 2004, 2005 against a bunch of rezonings in Lower Currituck because I had my feelings in there. And I thought, what is going to happen to Lower Currituck? What is development going to do? It's going to change this. And ultimately, there was a lot of rezonings that came about. And so my personal feelings and the way I felt about how Currituck should be, I learned something from that, which is that the way I feel about these things, it matters to me, but it doesn't matter to the greater whole. It matters to my kids, to my family, that I'm trying to instill with the morals and values that I have and that I want to see in them. But ultimately, this is a courtroom for the people that you represent in the county. And when I signed up for the planning board, land use steering committee, the vision committee, we had a record-breaking amount of people that wrote in and told us what they thought. And is that fair to say that when we were getting public opinion, we went from a phone-based to online surveys, and it was just a remarkable increase in feedback. And the land use plan is built out of that. The vision is built out of that. And so when you read from it and it recommends something, it's not just the staff recommending it. It's all the people that answered. It's all the people that said what they had to think. And it's all the people and their families and everybody that comes after them. Just because the future generations don't get to decide whether they thought it was a good idea to have these zonings or not. And so when you say it is a spot zoning, but it's not an illegal spot zoning, you have to hear yourself saying that. I mean, when I did the land use steering committee and I was on the planning board and we talked about spot zoning and what it does, and those spot zonings in Lower Currituck, and there's still GB, there's still all of this zoning that can't absorb anything. It's sitting on farmland and there's nothing there to take it, to accept it. The spot zoning created a pockmark, created a pox for generations to come. That land is still sitting there. And at any time, they could decide to put big box stores in and among farmland because it's something that was done 20 years ago. So there's a long arm and a long shadow that comes from decisions that are made here. And I wanted to ask, this rezoning is permanent, correct? You cannot offer a conditional rezoning for a set amount of time for the bridge and then take it back. Is that correct?
That's correct. It would run with the land.
It would
Okay.
stay, yeah.
Because what I thought I was when I was younger, very sort of principled, and I thought this should be the way it is because I believe it. It's more nuanced now. I want to be, I want to look out for landowners. I want to look out for business owners. I want to look out for the markets because they're great people and I grew up with their kids. I'd like to look out for Mr. Newsman and CRMP because they're a business that deserves to do business. But when you factor everything in, if you rezone something and you can't take it back, if you say, let's do this for the bridge it hasn't been approved yet. It says TBD on every website that I checked when I was sitting down there. If you rezone for that and you can't take it back, even if the bridge was finished, I can't vouch for that. I can't vouch for something, a rezoning that's going to permanently put heavy industrial on that farm. It'd be one thing if you could take it back, but I don't think, as we said, Pandora's box, you can't put it back once it's out. So I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jerry Wright.
This might be the challenge.
If you could, Mr. Wright, give us your name and address for the record, sir.
Thank you for everybody coming tonight. My name is Jerry Wright. I worked in this room for quite many years, sitting right just like these, are sitting to try and do what's best for our county, who is one of the oldest in North Carolina. And we have a wonderful place to live, one of the best in America. I remember my mother and father taking me on a boat up to, over and going into the big harbor and looking at that house over there. I wasn't but about 6 years old. And I said, look at that house. I've never seen such a thing. About 12 or 15 years after that, we sat here with a group from north of here and bought that house and redid it. And I say, between that and the lighthouse over there are a wonderful place for children to come and a seaside of a current place. And it's basically one of the best in America for families to come. And so I'll go and try and get some of this straight, if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My brother and I and my family owned the land on both sides, north and north, south, are next to this piece of property. My concern where this is, this small egg, is that it will affect what Dennis is doing now. I've been up there when all those kids come little small kills. I told him when he started, you got to do things so that the children can come, and he has done that over the year. He would be here tonight. He's somewhere overseas, which he does a lot. And I hope all of you will try and talk to him about what he thinks, because he's the one that draws anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 up on that piece of property to watch what's going on, what his family has created over many years. And it's quite a thing. The one thing that I would like to see done is make sure that if it is done, that it won't impact on Dennis and what he does up there. Look at the TV and watch him in California, or his children up in New York or whatever. It's a whole family that does that. And the one thing I would like to see is that this piece be moved up to the north side, to give you some way to help if the bridge is ever built. A lot of people are waiting, and also a way to that and have it so that it would be easier if it did ever get done. It could go up to Idlet Road across the back of that farm, and we would give a way to get over to the farm without going. If any of y'all have been out on the people going down to the ocean and back on Sundays, Saturdays, and it is a crazy place out there now, trying to go anything in and out about doing that, and we've got to do it better. And so I hope this would be part of that, getting it straight. And hopefully if we could do that, then it would help with getting things done. And also it would reduce I have a duck impoundment that I worked on almost 40 years. Now I'm 87 years old, folks. I'm not a kid anymore. But I love waterfowl, wildlife, and how we do. This morning, I went up there and went around that thing, and I looked around, and there was 16 turkeys in the back of that farm, south of that, where we're all talking about doing things. And they got up and went back in the trees. It was a project that we did while I was in Raleigh on the board, and we now have hundreds of them. And Joe, who has a market there at Jarvisburg, and he's got a picture where 125 turkeys came out the back door of his, where he sells all his vegetables, and they were going round and round. And they did the same thing at Idlet and on our farm and other farms. And we can do good things and get some of this done and accomplish things. Jesse was in my class doing it, and she
Mr.
and
Wright.
her brothers, they
Mr.
agree us getting something done. And with that,
Can't hear you if you don't talk in the microphone.
I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Maybe you don't hear too much of it, but I am really wanting to try and solve this. And maybe 10 years from now, yeah, we did that night. Thank you. If you
Thank
want
you.
like to know anything, please call.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Jimmy Market. If you could give your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, I'm Jim Market from Currituck, and this piece of property that we're talking about is in my family. What I want to speak about is the conservation easements that I'm working on. I'm having an appraisal done on my farm on the north end of Churches Island tomorrow to put that 60 acres in a conservation easement so it can never be built on. I'm surprised by Mr. Rodney Woolard with Soil and Water that you cannot do 2 conservation easements with the state in the same year. Hence, I'm already working on this one, on Water Lily. We fully intend, the whole family fully intends to put the rest of that farm and woodland in a conservation easement also. I cannot show it to you on paper, but that is sincerely our intent to do that. And
All right, anyone have questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Market. That is the last person I have signed up to speak. Is there anyone else that did not sign up that wishes to speak? Hearing none, I'm going to close the,
Paul,
yes, sir, come forward and give us your name and address.
My name is Jennings Smith, 3868 Moore Shore Road, Kitty Hawk, 5th generation from Kitty Hawk and Currituck. And, you know, I know the rights, the markets, Uncle Ned. You know, the only thing I say about this is the zoning situation. But, you know, I know there's setbacks, stuff like that I have to divide by. And when you come back here, I don't see why it just couldn't be flip-flopped on that piece of property, given the 167 acres. Because they have it set back here on the right side, there's 500 foot to the first duck impoundment. So that's my only concern is the 3 duck impoundments here, like within 500 foot of that property line is that first impoundment to that concrete plant. And I know the concrete plant, Mr. Newsom keeps a tight ship, but that's pretty close to a duck impoundment. So if it could just be flip-flopped, it would be a lot better if it does go. That's my only opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the board.
Mr. Chairman, could we take a 5-minute
Love to.
recess?
Yep. 5-minute recess. I'd like to now call the meeting back to order. And before we took the 5-minute recess, which turned into maybe 10 minutes, we were at the point of a motion on PB 2509 CRP Inc., the rezoning request. So at this point, I'd ask the board if they have any more questions, and if not, we need a motion.
Go ahead, I was going to have a question. But
You have a question? Go ahead.
I've heard from multiple people. I know it's a big parcel of land, 100 and some plus acres.
57.
What's that?
157.
157. And would that be something that they would entertain to flip-flop as the last gentleman spoke on the, I mean, would there have to be a lot more work done and so forth?
Well, I think this has been proposed on this piece of property.
Yeah.
The property's already been created. The parcel
Yeah.
is
So, yeah, we have to
Okay,
be able to.
I just was curious.
Okay. Anyone else?
Christian Ford and Chairman, Mr. Strader would actually like to speak on that.
On that question.
Oh, about the flip-flopping?
Yeah.
I mean,
If you could answer his question, that'd be great.
Real fast. As long as the parcel, as you see on the screen here now, as long as the parcel itself remains, it would alleviate a whole lot of work. But the layout that you saw on the concept plan itself, where it showed the concrete plant shown at the southern end, and I believe that would be considered insubstantial change. The because nobody's done a site plan design yet. When the site plan design takes place, it could be mirrored so that the plant was farther away from the southern boundary. But everything else associated with the parcel would need to remain the same.
You're saying you'd put the plant on the northern side of that highlighted parcel?
Yes, sir. And that's, 10.5 acres worth of land.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Clarify that.
Well, yes, just 1 second.
I'm curious if you were to move it like you're talking about, what would that do to its close proximity, speaking from an environmental standpoint to the impoundments?
We're still taking.
Would it move it further or not really?
It would move it further, but if you look on the screen, you've got the layout of the plant. Because the parcel's already created, they're not going to move the parcel.
I see.
It would just shift the layout of the plant to the north.
To the north side.
I see.
On the now newly created parcel.
So it only moved like
Okay.
5 acres.
I see. It wouldn't,
You move the plant on this side.
wouldn't make a difference.
Otherwise, you'd
So
have to do a whole new piece.
for the audience, the
Would not
question
make a
was, if you move the plant away from the side where the impoundments are and moved it to the northern portion of the property because the parcel's already created. That's what the question was. And they said they would do that. I believe that's what or could do that.
So they would use a different parcel within this large parcel?
It would be on
Oh,
the
it
other
would
side.
just
That's
be,
all it would do.
I see.
That would be moved there.
So it wouldn't change its proximity to the impoundments?
The land itself.
Not the actual parcel.
The trucks are still driving.
That's all they're
Okay.
doing. They'll be moving that to there to there.
We could move back to the board. We need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to make a motion. I move to deny PB 2509 CRMP Incorporated conditional rezoning because the request is not consistent with the imagined Currituck 2040 vision plan, including the future land use map, the county's adopted official zoning map, land use goal 1.4 and 2.3, and environmental goal 2. And the fact that the master planning for the Mid-Currituck Bridge area has not been completed with community engagement as recommended in the land use plan. Also, because the heavy manufacturing is not the type of development typically associated with the G1 transect, and the land use plan encourages new industrial uses to locate in existing or planned industrial sites and locate on suitable land with the unique location advantages. This area is not an existing or a planned industrial site. Furthermore, the application is not compatible with the neighboring outdoor recreation use, which is only intermittently or active farmland surrounding the surrounding parcel, and heavy industrial is the appropriate zoning district for a concrete batch plant.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to add one thing. I'd like to do some more research on why Maple was, I mean, that bothered me that we cannot look at that. If it's heavy industrial, why options like that aren't considered in the future, and make sure we I mean, if something comes, that shocked me when I heard that, because something like that should come to the entire board of the county manager. And if something like that does, I would hope that the entire board would get information about that on decisions before something's misconstrued out there.
I agree with Mr. Payment because, we do want to sell that land that we've got at Maple. And, I've actually had a neighbor who's interested in a parcel there as well. And he hasn't gotten a yes, you can do what you want to do there. So I think we need to look at maybe the restrictions and what have you there.
All right.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Could I get a vote tally? Was that a unanimous vote?
It did
I
not
believe it
pass.
was.
No, it was.
The vote was
Approve the
unanimous
denial.
to
Yes.
Unanimous.
PB 2512, Currituck County Housekeeping Text Amendment, request for a housekeeping text amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance. I guess that would be Ms. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Cut it off. Mr. Chairman, before I know we just had finished that vote, and typically like all those for, aye, all those against, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I mean, I know there was 4 that said
It was
they were
unanimous.
for it. Okay, I was, well,
He said he voted
Did-
nay.
I was
Did you
gonna say
vote
nay,
no?
you didn't ask the second
Oh,
part.
you didn't vote nay.
Yeah.
You did vote no.
I did, yeah, so I mean, I just,
Well, okay, Mr. Chairman, I thought.
yeah. I mean, just because I had some questions on it is why I was a nay.
Okay.
So, not that, I mean, it didn't matter. It's 5-1, 6-0.
No, I mean, your vote
either
does, your
or.
vote does matter. I
Yeah,
thought I
well-
heard you say, okay.
He usually says all opposed.
I knew he didn't say it.
You didn't say all opposed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's fine, I'm not mad at you or nothing.
I'll flog you later.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Dr. Pay.
Take me out back.
no, it's fine.
You get them all flustered now.
PB 2512, Currituck County Housekeeping Text Amendment, request for a housekeeping amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a staff-sponsored text amendment. No significant changes or no policy changes are proposed. It's just cleaning up some sections of the ordinance that need to be corrected. Firstly, our department was renamed, and we want to make that change effective in the UDO from Development Services to Planning and Inspections. Secondly, there's some instances where the wrong form of the word principal is used. So correcting those references. Back in, I think it was 2019, there were some text amendments related to solar arrays where they were prohibited, and then a new type, which was the same thing as a solar array, was established called solar energy facility. There's some remnant references to solar array, so I'd like to clean that up in the ordinance. Same with the parking standards there for solar array. And then, let's see, there was also some remnants of references to a prior summary use table. During the Currituck Station time, the use table was separated. There was an A and a B use table because there were so many potential zoning districts. And that was condensed back into one table, so I want to remove the references to table 4.1.1B throughout the ordinance. You're very familiar with the review standards, and staff and the planning board do recommend approval of the request because it's consistent with the land use plan and the ordinance.
All right, any questions? Hearing none. We have no one signed up to speak on this. Is there anyone who wishes to speak didn't sign up? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the board for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a-
One moment.
Yeah,
Could we get a motion based off the motion sheet? Sorry.
Oh.
We've got to have a consistent statement with our
Yes.
motions.
So then you want that one or you want me to take it?
Yep, you made the motion.
Come on, Kevin.
Hold on, let me get my sheets in order.
It's 2512.
That's what I thought. I move to approve PB 25-12 Currituck County Text Amendment because the request is in conformance with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine Currituck 2040 Vision Plan and the UDO.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is PB 25-13, Currituck County Text Amendment Conservation Subdivision Request to amend the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 6, Section 6-4, Conservation Subdivisions to remove the requirement for submittal and approval of a conservation and development plan and to remove the minimum acreage requirement for conservation subdivisions. Ms. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is another text amendment that's sponsored by Planning and Inspections Department related to the process for submitting and getting a conservation subdivision approved. As the board's aware, conservation subdivisions are major subdivisions and currently are subject to special use permits now, basically because we're within adequate public facilities, the 85%. But just getting to the process of how you submit a conservation subdivision now, there's this requirement that you do a conservation and development plan first. So you do a site analysis map, which is just based off of basically GIS. Do a site inspection with planning staff and the applicant on site. Then prepare a conservation and development area, which is basically identifying your environmentally significant lands, if you have any farmland, et cetera. And then you submit that plan, and then the director or staff, as directed by the director, will review and approve that plan. So now, once you have an approved conservation and development plan, which lays out generally your subdivision, you can start the process to apply for a conservation subdivision, which goes to pre-application conference with the TRC, a community meeting if it's required by the ordinance, depending on the number of lots created, and then you submit that preliminary plat with a special use permit and that approved conservation and development plan for review by the TRC and ultimately the Board of Commissioners. And so staff identified that we believe that when the ordinance was changed in 2023 to remove the traditional subdivision option in the SFM and ag zone, and at the same time required conservation subdivisions in those zoning districts, that this process is just, it's extra and it's not necessary. We're not changing any of the standards for what has to be an open space or set aside. Any of the open space also has to be put in a conservation easement for conservation subdivisions. Let's see here. So this language is also in your agenda packet, just striking through the procedure for reviewing a conservation and development plan. When we did take this to the planning board, they suggested that we leave in the first sentence under procedure, which we're fine with doing that. So there's no question about how you get a major subdivision approved. And then the other strike through that we have here is the minimum project size. That the conservation subdivision shall be at least 10 acres in area. So basically what that does is it gives somebody that doesn't have 10 acres the option of doing a major subdivision through the conservation subdivision. Prior to 2023, you had that option through a traditional subdivision. Traditional subdivision had larger lots, a little bit less open space. Conservation subdivisions cluster lots based on density and have a little bit more open space. So we felt like that was not necessary to retain in the ordinance, since if you're in those zoning districts, that is the subdivision option for you if you're triggered into a major subdivision. And then I would actually ask that, this is a little bit different than in your agenda packet, that this section about depicting a riparian buffer on a plan, your agenda packet just had the strike-through language through conservation and development plans, and rereading this, it appears that it needs to be stricken through the entirety of that sentence. So staff would ask that you include that in your motion if you see fit. This amendment is consistent with Land Use Goal 1 and Environment Goal 1 of the Land Use Plan. You may consider the review standards of the ordinance, and the planning board and staff do recommend approval of the request with the minor edit to the procedure section and the additional strike through that I just mentioned. And I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
You want to have questions, Ms. Turner?
No, go ahead, no, go ahead.
In doing this is just a procedural change for conservation subdivision. This does not make it easier or more difficult, either one, to achieve that goal.
No, it just takes, as staff, when we're reviewing a conservation and development plan for a subdivision that actually needs a special use permit by the board, it's kind of awkward. It's like, here's your approved plan, now you can submit.
Okay.
The board may or may not approve your plan based on if you can bring your findings, right? So it's
a pre-approval for a possible approval.
Right. Whereas I think when folks were deciding between traditional and conservation, you just kind of showed, like, I have some environmentally sensitive lands, wetlands, et cetera, that I'm trying to preserve, and this is where they are, and this is kind of how I'm going to lay out my subdivision because of that. All that work is generally done before we ever see the first map from someone that's bringing a subdivision in.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that much stricken from the ordinance, and I was like, oh goodness.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna make the comment that, yeah, this was worked on, gosh, what, a year or two ago? I mean, this is nothing new.
The conservation subdivisions have been in place. It's just, what's new is that in 2023, the board said if you're doing ag or SFM major subdivision, It has to be conservation subdivision. And before that change, the 10 acres was already in the ordinance, which was another thing that before the change, you had an option of traditional subdivision or conservation, depending on how big your lot was. Clearly, if it wasn't greater than 10 acres.
Just for the people out there maybe seeing this, I don't want to
Yeah.
sure they understand, this isn't something new we were doing tonight. We were just doing some procedural modifications to something that was already in place.
Correct.
I have a question.
Yes.
Parent parcel rules, they'll still be in place with what we're doing tonight.
Correct. That doesn't change the splits from the parent parcel as it existed April 2nd, 1989.
All right, anyone else? Anything else?
Yes, sir.
All right, we need a motion from the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move to,
Did we have did you have a
Oh,
public hearing?
I'm sorry. I'm discombobulated again. We have, public hearing. I have no one that has signed up. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Now ask the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve PB 25-13 Currituck County Tax Amendment with the planning board suggestions and the staff edits presented tonight because the request is in conformance with the goals, objectives, policies, and the Imagine Currituck 2040 Vision Plan and the UDO, including Land Use Goal 1 and Environmental Goal 1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. New business is ordinance amendment, section 3-64, animal tethering, second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This ordinance was before you at the last meeting, but because we didn't have a unanimous vote, it is before you for a second reading, and it just requires a majority vote. This adds outdoor tethering of an animal to the cruelty to animals section, strictly that it would not be proper shelter during certain situations due to heat or cold temperatures and severe weather warnings, hurricane advisories, and things of that nature. And also, if there is any tether, it shall be at least 15 feet in length or 4 times the length of the animal, whichever is greater.
Anyone have any further questions? This passed once and it needs to be passed again.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item, resolution, additional defendant to join opioid settlement litigation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is a resolution that will need to be passed by the board in order to add Purdue Pharma LP and members of the Sackler family to the opioid settlement. Additional settlements have been reached under their bankruptcy plan. So I would recommend approving this resolution and also delegating authority to me as the county attorney or Ms. Gay as the county manager to sign any relevant documentation to approve the additional defendants.
All right, anyone have
I
questions?
do have a question. Approving those additional defendants, does that mean didn't we just recently receive some more funds?
We've done this before,
Yeah.
adding defendants. And so anytime there's new defendants, we have to do this process.
Typically, we add a defendant, then we get some more money, typically, I think, and then how
Yes.
it's set. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion from the board?
So moved.
To also include the county attorney as the signature?
Signing.
Is it just the attorney or the manager or both?
I thought it was
Or either?
It's your motion.
Either or.
Either or.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner McCord. Do we have a second?
Second. Oh, Janet got it.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 3, sole source purchase resolution, Hersey meters and Mueller systems, water meters, equipment and related parts and products from Waterworks Metrology LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to General Statute 143-129E6, A local unit of government can purchase apparatus, supplies, materials, or equipment when standardization or compatibility is an overriding consideration. Before you is a resolution authorizing the purchase of Hersey meters and Mueller Systems water meters, equipment, and related parts and products from Waterworks Metrology LLC through the sole source exception to competitive bidding. And staff would recommend approval.
All right, we have a motion for approval.
I make a motion that we approve this purchase.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Number 4, sole source purchase resolution, MTS, power loads and battery equipment from Stryker Corp.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is a sole source purchase under that same general statute exception to competitive bidding for MTS power loads and battery equipment from Stryker Corporation.
All right, do we have a motion for approval? Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Item 5, sole source purchase resolution, GlideScope go-to monitor and supplies from Verathon Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is a third sole source resolution on the agenda tonight under that same statute exception, and this is for GlideScope go-to monitor and supplies from Verathon Inc.
We have a motion from the board.
Move for approval.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second.
Compete against each other.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Number 6 is board appointments. Albemarle Commission alternative would be me, and appointment of members to local child fatality prevention team, Kevin McCord, Richard Lane, and Donald Ray Etheridge Jr.
I make a motion that we appoint to the Albemarle Commission as an alternate Chairman Paul O'Neill, and to the local child fatality prevention team, we appoint Kevin McCord, Richard Lane, and Donald Ray Etheridge Jr.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 7, consent agenda. We have a motion.
Move for approval.
I have a motion for approval.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Commissioners report, Mr. McCord.
Understand Auctions International successfully unloaded our 3 black Jeeps. Pretty exciting news that I heard this morning.
All
When I
right.
came to work for the county. They've been with us for quite some time. Nothing else to report.
Okay. Mr. Angel?
Still got 2 things, Mr. Chairman. Knott's Island Rueting Club is doing a Knott's Island Community Day on August 10th from 1 to 4 at the Rueting Park over on Knott's Island. I will be in attendance if anybody else is around. It'll be a good time. There's food and, fellowship. So
Always good.
the second thing I'd like to talk about is everybody's going to love this, trash on the 4x4. So I've talked to Pete Odom today. I've gotten some phone calls and some text messages from some people over there. And there is a discrepancy in the spirit of the rule and the letter of the rule. I would like to ask that we do some sort of work session on that ordinance to try to clean it up and make it more clear on what the goal and objective to that ordinance is, for people that are going, in my opinion, above what they're required to do, but they're still getting hit because they're not doing verbatim what they're required to do.
What do you mean by getting hit?
They're getting
Fined.
fined.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted you just to clarify that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Abused.
they are getting fined, and they're having, their trash cans are secure, animals can't get in it, but because they might not have a top on it, because they've got locking trash cans with, devices that keep animals from getting into it, they're getting hit. If the goal is to keep the horses out of the trash, and they have met that goal, it's my opinion that, we should rewrite the ordinance to reflect that.
I agree.
Yes.
And the ultimate goal is to keep the horses out of the trash bin.
Yeah,
Yes, I've been sent a slew of pictures over the last few days.
I have too.
So, yes, that's something we need to discuss. Anything else?
That's it.
Ms. Rose.
Well, I went to Creeds Elementary in Virginia Beach one day last week. They were to hear a report on the marsh restoration in Back Bay. And while I know we do not govern Virginia, if they were to pass that marsh restoration, that could possibly affect our waterfront property owners on Knott's Island, Gibbs Woods, Tolls Creek. Long story short, as of right now, that marsh restoration is on hold because they are seeing aquatic growth on the bottom. So they've had to put a stop to it. So that was a good thing. And I look forward to going to Knott's Island Community Day on Sunday. I hope to see a lot of folks there.
Is that it?
That's it.
Mr. Payment?
I have nothing to see them, Mr. Chair.
Just
Ms.
briefly,
Jarvis.
I attended the NCACC District 1 caucus on Thursday. Commissioner Emily Truman of Gates County was chosen as our District 1 director. I think she's going to be great and will do a lot to unite and bring some unity to our northeastern ugly stepsister counties like we always are treated by Raleigh. So I look forward to her vision, and I would like to thank Commissioner Sissy Idlet from Camden County, who has been our leader for the last 2 years. And finally, I just want to shout out a fixture of Lower Currituck, Cindy Staples, who is officially retiring at the end of this month from the Postal Service. Miss Staples has delivered the mail for over 20 years in Lower Currituck, and she is a ray of sunshine when she does that. She always has a kind word. She always has a smile on her face, and I want to wish her the very best from me and so many of us in Lower Currituck in her retirement.
And she was a 1982 grad with me at high school here.
Was she in the band?
She was not in the band,
What in the band?
but she did drive Judy to school
Lynn.
every morning.
And she was Cindy Lynn.
Alan
Cindy
Lynn's.
Lynn, yeah, Cindy
Yeah.
Lynn, yep.
I have one thing for the county manager first. I continue to get calls about the recycling centers, the entrances, and the grading inside. And publicly, I would like for you to let us know what our plan is to grade these on a more regular basis, or when they're, do the people from the maintenance department ride through and check them out on a regular basis? And then, as you and I discussed, the one down in Grandy, there's that continued pothole out there by the road. And just for the board's content and the general public, could you share our conversations or anything extra you have to share?
I think we put money in the budget for the Grandy site for the entrance there.
Sure. So the Grandy site specifically, cold patch was taken down to the Grandy site. I believe it was either the beginning of last week or the end of the week prior, to patch some of the holes at the Grandy site. We are also engaging an engineer to assist with repaving and expanding the driveway at the Grandy site. So that is underway.
To
The entrance.
The entrance.
You guys got pavement?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long ride down through
I
there.
thought they're chilling on a dirt road.
Yeah.
The sites are currently graded, I would say every 4 to 5 weeks. So if we need to increase the frequency, we can. That will likely require a budget
It's
amendment.
my understanding that in the Moyoc site, where you go in and you make the curve, it shoulders up. It keeps shouldering up the crush and run and creates a pothole.
It does.
I went in there Saturday.
Yeah, it needs to be graded more often, and we need to keep a better eye on these. If we're going to ask people to go drive their vehicles into these sites, they need to leave with all their tires and transmission.
That's a good point.
So I would appreciate if we could get maintenance to do a more regular grading or checking on these sites to make sure that they meet
We've had a lot of rain.
our residents' expectations from Currituck County.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one thing as well, when you're finished?
Go ahead.
Sewer status.
No.
I'm getting phone calls.
I'll finish first.
Go ahead. Thank you.
The next thing is I continue to get phone calls about the roads, the traffic, the why we put a stoplight up, why aren't we mowing people's ditches, why aren't we doing this and that. I think it would be just wholly, not holy as in God, but WHO, wholly a great thing for us to put in that newsletter that we send out what DOT's responsibilities are in regards to the ditches, the roads, the traffic lights, and what limitations the county commissioners have. Because we have a lot of people who are moving into this county from Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, and all these urban areas, and they expect the county to be mowing their ditches. They expect the county to be filling the potholes in their roads. And one guy just I spoke with just wore me out about the new traffic light as to, you know, who was the idiots. I told him it wasn't us idiots. It was different idiots that put the traffic light up there at the 7-Eleven. And just constantly getting questions about the responsibilities of the roads in this county and as I said, the different things. And I would just like to use that newsletter as a means to maybe put the phone numbers to people to contact with DOT and to delineate who's responsible for the roads in the county and not the commissioners. I mean, everybody thinks we're just all powerful, and we're very limited in what powers we have.
Powerful
That
odds.
motion.
Sure.
Well, and
Can we
if it
second that
means,
motion?
Yes,
well, if it means putting another page or two in there and increase it, so be it. I mean,
yes, that stuff needs to be delineated for the residents in this county. We've got, as I said, a lot of people that aren't from a rural country county, and their expectations are far more than what we deliver.
We also could ask that they help keep the ditches clean and the culvert pipes.
Right, right.
if it's on the
So, and then also I had mentioned before having the DOT reps come to Currituck and tell us what their plans are for traffic control going forward.
Yes, sir. We confirmed with them today that they will be here the second meeting in September.
Oh, awesome. So, yes, ma'am.
They need to look at the traffic before then. They need to look at it in the summertime.
Oh, they see it. They know.
They know.
you should have been to the meeting a few years ago down at Powell's Point.
And Mr. McCord had a question.
Sewer update, I guess, when you do your county manager's report, if you don't mind.
She did it today.
I did.
Oh, it was. I didn't read my email today because I was busy working before I had to come to the meetings all day.
Well, you're
Sorry.
behind.
I'm behind. Thank
Such a
you.
good county employee.
Yes.
Okay.
Dedication.
Do you want to add to that or?
Okay.
Okay. Next, county manager's report.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few things this evening. Commissioner Angel, staff has a meeting this week to review the solid waste ordinance, and we will bring those recommendations to the board for consideration. Also, I wanted to mention that the Navy is preparing a community involvement plan for its ongoing environmental restoration program at the Northwest Annex. The plan will identify community interests and describe how the Navy will communicate with the public about its ongoing environmental cleanup activities. And we have shared information for how to access that survey on the county website if anyone is interested. North Carolina Department of Transportation is asking the public to provide input on what transportation projects they would like to see included in the upcoming state, let's see, I'll get it right. State Transportation Improvement Program, also referred to as the STIP. It's a 10-year transportation program for years 2028 through 2037. The statewide public comment period to submit project ideas and other feedback will be held from July 28th to August 29th. And again, this information has been shared on the county website for folks who want additional information. And then hopefully you saw we issued a press release that was picked up by several outlets about the public safety camp that was offered this year. We had staff from Fire EMS and the Sheriff's Office that served as counselors for the camp, and then also had participation from Emergency Management, 911 Communications, North Carolina Forest Service, United States Coast Guard, Crawford Volunteer Fire Department, Lower Currituck Volunteer Fire Department, and Moayak Volunteer Fire Department. So I just wanted to recognize all those folks for their participation in the camp.
All right, and one last question. Do you have a date set for the next meeting in Raleigh concerning the whalehead dredging?
I do not. We have been, the consultant, Brian Rubino, and I have been trying to schedule a date to have folks come out to Whalehead and have not been able to schedule a date.
Okay, we want to make sure we keep Senator Hannig in the loop. He did ask me when the meeting was set, and I told him I would ask.
Yes.
All right. County Attorney's report?
No report.
That was a good one.
Boy, great report.
With that, we'll take a motion to adjourn. Have a
Second.
motion, second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.